This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by Fan Expo Canada. Join Chasing Artwork and GMB Kamichak August 22nd to 25th for new books,
at
new
booth
prints,
PR2,
and new art at booth PR2. You should be there too.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
Hello, this is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how a genre gets made. This is a very special aftermath episode. This is our San Diego Comic-Con cool down episode. So we're recording a few days late as we have dusted off the detritus of travel and 170,000 attendees.
you recovered?
To be fair, I've stayed up till 2 a.m. the last 2 days because I was so excited with the ideas I had that I had to work on them. So I finished a bunch of stuff that I had to do for, like I had some magazine illustrations that I was doing for Canada's History Magazine, some ghosts. So I did all that stuff when I got back. And I could have gone to bed at a reasonable hour, but I opened the notes and doodles I had made from San Diego of stuff that was on my mind, and yes.
And the reason for this is you didn't have a table at San Diego. You were just helping, so you got to get washed over with all the art and things going on, but you couldn't participate in the way that you usually do.
The joke we made was that I was briefcase guy. So my job at the show, Justin held down the fort with his booth, and I went around and met with publishers and toy manufacturers and game developers and increased the long tail of our comet to maximum efficiency while we were there. Mm-hmm. So Dan is also on the podcast. Hi, Dan.
Hi. I didn't go to San Diego.
No.
I was left behind, and then Greg was just sending me texts of cool Star Wars things and stuff that I couldn't see. I wanted to send back a snarky response, like, "Oh, nice humble brag."
I was trying to share.
I know you were. No, I'm just joking.
Oh my god!
But I was totally gonna be like, whatever. I'm watching Star Wars right now.
Our friend James is also a huge Dark Crystal fan, and I was inside the activation, and so I was sending him video and stuff. And he basically responded by saying, I am both really happy you're sending me this and so jealous that I think I need you to stop sending me this.
Yeah. I get the feeling.
We did discuss for next year with the booth that we have. It comes with some extra passes, and we didn't need any more help at the booth. But we thought we could offer to a couple of our friends if they wanted to come to San Diego.
Producers.
For the pass, and all we would ask of them is to grab us lunch at some point, kind of thing.
Done.
Yeah,
that's the deal.
The one thing that actually it sounds like, man, that seems like not very much work for so much access. Navigating that size of crowd that all has the basic human needs of food and bathrooms is a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. No, I imagine it's going to be fun and challenging. But tell me, what happened? What adventures did you get into at Comic-Con?
Oh, there were a few, but maybe for the dear listener who doesn't know anything about San Diego Comic-Con, we'll give it just a.
Who doesn't know anything about San Diego Comic-Con?
Don't shame people.
I'm not shaming people, but it's the biggest Comic-Con in the world, pretty much, right?
Is that accurate? Yeah.
Yeah. What's different about San Diego that doesn't really happen at other shows? For one, most conventions. The convention is inside the convention hall, and once you get outside of the convention, you're in a normal city around normal
in the
people.
Regular world.
You're in the regular world.
Yeah.
Even New York is like that, right?
Yes.
You said that, yes.
Yeah, the Javits Center in New York, it's once the portal to Comic-Con is the Javits Center, and once you go in there, you're in Comic-Con, and once you go out, you're back in normal New York.
Yep.
San Diego does not do that. San Diego, the Comic-Con stretches
10
blocks
in every direction.
And thousands upon thousands of people go to San Diego Comic-Con without tickets because there is so much going on outside of the convention for them to check out.
Yeah.
They don't feel the need to get tickets to go actually inside the hall. So it's above and beyond.
Plus, it's very difficult to get tickets to go inside the hall. That's all, because people.
Saturday sold out. Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't it grandfathered? So if you bought a ticket last year, you get first access to tickets for the next year or something like that.
I actually have no idea.
Someone told me that once. I don't know if that's true or not, but Like if you are a longtime attendee of like George R.R. Martin, apparently he's been going since the very first year,
Right.
And he gets access. Obviously, he gets access now, but even before he was famous, he was getting access before anybody else.
Before I knew he was famous, I met him at San Diego Comic-Con
Oh, really?
10 years ago.
That's
yeah.
interesting.
Have I not told this story on
No.
the podcast? So the interesting thing about San Diego for me, we were looking at the time capsule. The last time I was at San Diego Comic-Con, here's the time marker. People were really interested that you became their friend on MySpace.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
how long ago. This
2008.
was, right? This was the forever.
2007,
ago.
2008. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. So during that time, I was really excited to go and meet and talk to and hang out with Peter S. Beagle, who wrote The Last Unicorn.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So I got to do that, and we would spend a little bit of time together. And he was a very gracious, very humble man who
He's super nice.
Yeah, he's just a wonderful guy. I'm very sad to hear some of the drama that has surrounded his life in the intervening years. But he says, "Gregory, I'd like to introduce you to my friend George." And I look over at George R.R. Martin, but I don't know who he is. I've never read any of those books at those
But
times.
those books were out at that time.
They were huge.
Yeah.
The entire hall was filled with people, not to my knowledge, who were there to see George talk.
Okay.
But I didn't know who he was. He was like, "I'd like to introduce my friend George." And I guess Peter is being gracious in like, "Well, you're probably actually here for George. I'll introduce you." But I didn't know any of that. I was there for Peter.
Yeah.
He says, "This is my friend George." And I looked George R.R. Martin in the face and said, "Hi, George. What is it that you do?"
Yeah.
And that trademark hat and the beard and the whole thing. And he just gave me a big smile and he said, "You know what, Gregory? I'm a bit of a scribbler." Right? Not a
Well, does
whiff.
that mean an artist or author? It could mean both.
Both, but
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I sit down in the crowd and then he goes up and it's like, "We'd like to introduce," and like the entire hall goes insane. I'm like, oh, I guess
He was kind of a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal.
Interesting.
But what I appreciated the most about him all those years ago was he was already a big deal. And it wasn't affecting him in a way that when he met a new person who didn't hear about him, he wasn't like, "Oh, you don't know who I am? You don't
Right,
hear from
right.
me?"
Yeah.
He was just a regular dude.
Cool.
So fast forward 10 years. Nobody is interested in their MySpace.
Nah, unfortunately.
Everyone is interested in your email address.
Really?
Oh yeah, so that was.
Yeah, no one is promoting their social media either. They want your email address.
I was not aware of this last year, if it was a thing last year, but you, as every single person who was in the hall, had their badge, and their badge has a little sensor thing in it. So when you scan in,
It's like an RFID code.
Right,
kind of
right.
yeah,
thing.
so you scan in and the thing beeps, so they know you have a valid badge, and then you go about the hall, and there was tons of booths that had rented from the San Diego Comic-Con these badge scanners. So they would offer free things, and all you have to do is get your badge scanned by this booth.
It gives you information.
Yeah.
That booth
Oh, okay.
gets your email, and
So-
if you're a guy or girl, and your age, and
Yeah, so you would hear these clarion calls like free lanyards echoing through the hall.
Free lanyards.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
and then there'd be
Where do I
people-
line up?
So just wait. So
sorry.
we are making fun of. We're at our booth laughing because every 10, 15 minutes for days we hear this one woman and her spirit is slowly eroding because this is her job is to yell. So at the beginning it's like free lanyards, and by the end it was just free lanyards. 4 days later, every time. So I go over, and the recording that you're going to hear, dear listener, I took in the wild, right? Dan will edit it into the podcast so you can hear as we heard it in the wild.
Free lanyards! Girl, take it. Oh, yeah. Free lanyards!
And every time this woman made this noise, hundreds of people would line up to get these free frickin' lanyards.
What were on the lanyards?
They were just lanyards.
Like branded with whatever
yeah, with
company?
somebody else's brand.
Wow.
And you already had a lanyard. It came with your pass.
Right.
But you could get a free one. People would line up and trade their personal information, one beep at a time, for this free lanyard. And so they didn't believe me when I came back. I was like reporting from the front lines.
Because
Right.
we're not a big fan of people who do the carnival calling or whatever.
Yeah.
That like stand outside the,
the
booth and go
barker,
like
the carnival
barker.
barker,
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Snake
Carnival
oil
barker.
salesman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come get your prints. We've
Yeah.
got good prints.
I don't, as
Prince
someone who
cure
attends.
arthritis.
But it was
Wow, that's amazing.
It was
Where do we sign
Sunday.
up?
The show had ended, and we've been kind of making fun of this lanyards lady the whole time because you can't. Once you notice it, you can't not. And for 5 days, every 10, 15 minutes, we've been hearing this woman.
It's like if you're in New York and you're aware of car alarms, right? Now you can't hear anything
Right.
but car alarms.
Yeah.
And like Greg had said, like the excitement got lower and lower and lower until it was like just soul crushing, like bellow.
Free lanyard.
So just as kind of a joke, me, my brother, and Gregory counted down from 3 and then screamed at the top of our lungs, "Free lanyards!"
But like a exuberant free
Yeah.
lanyards,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We wanted to bring the power back.
And it was just kind of like a cheers to the end
Did-
of the
did
show.
hundreds of people line up for your.
My God, Ken.
People came out of the woodwork.
Running.
We had no idea.
Oh man, maybe it's like
So
the.
suddenly we were surrounded on 3 sides by people hungry for free
Is
lanyards.
this where there's a free? We're like, we don't
No.
have any lanyards, and the disappointment.
So I
Justin
frantically
starts-
go under the booth and grab. I have little enamel pins with my logo on it. I start handing them buttons to make them go away, and then a second wave comes
It
in.
was
Wow.
like an aftershock of people who had heard it but were too far to find it right away. Came dwindling in from other areas. So things that we can learn from this, dear listener, is if you have something free to give at a very huge venue,
Where everything costs money.
Where everything
I mean,
costs
that's
huge
got
amounts
to be
of
what
money.
it is, right? You're so used to you spend so much money on all the stuff. It's
Yeah.
nice to be able to get a free thing,
anything
as
free.
even as a souvenir, even
and
if it
all
has.
it costs you is your personal information.
That's right.
By Grabthar's hammer, by the sons of Warvan, I shall avenge you.
Now, this is I can speak to this a little bit as somebody who has experience in marketing. This is much more of a U.S. thing that I don't think that would fly in Canada. Canada has very strict laws against solicitation of emails, and you have to get someone's express permission. Maybe that's already in there, like what they're agreeing to. But I don't think the States has that kind of law as far as like
Interesting.
spam emails.
Right.
Like you have to actually say yes, I want to receive emails.
Right.
Right.
But that law does not apply in the States, which means that every time you sign up for something on an American website,
can email
you're
you
opting in.
constantly.
Which we've noticed, like doing conventions,
Oh, man.
we are suddenly on. Our email has been sold to so many convention companies, and we're
I get a
constantly
tiny
getting
bit of that. Yeah, at
It's only going to
FanQuest.
grow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's tough, and it's in my opinion not an effective way to market anything.
Yeah.
Because people just are so used to clicking and spam. Nope, don't want
Yeah.
that. I mean, if they actually. I think Canada's law is better because if you're actually making the decision to opt in, that
Yeah.
means you want to receive
Yes.
the
Yeah.
information, and then you're more likely to actually read the email as
Yeah.
opposed to like, oh, you just tap your badge and then forget about it, and
Yeah.
then a couple months later you get this email like "Pff, whatever junk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not very effective in my opinion. And
Yeah.
I mean, those are.
But if they collect 1,000 or 2,000 of them,
That's like a day.
They'll-
well, it's
need-
worth something to somebody, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's about building a database of customers,
Ooh, scary.
and I don't like that idea.
So
As Facebook gets fined $5 billion yesterday.
I didn't hear this.
Oh yeah, no, they got fined $5 billion by the U.S. for their practices regarding privacy and everything, and they've been fined in the United. Europe
Interesting
as well.
that they don't have to change their behavior; they just have to pay money.
No, they do have to change. They do have to change their behavior, but
Change your behavior. So behavior. So in the hall, different from other shows, also because there's so much exclusive, hard to find stuff at the San Diego Comic-Con. So many of the booths produce things just for that show.
San Diego kind of was the front runner of the exclusive thing. You can only get this toy or this art print or this thing at San Diego Comic Con,
These
and
4
it's
days.
not available anywhere else.
So there's all this security in the hall, and their job, the first like 20 minutes, is simply to yell at people.
free lanyards.
No running. No running.
No running, free lanyards.
Yeah, no running. Someone's yelling free lanyards, which triggers the run response. then the security, no running. They're not allowed to run. As soon as they're around the corner from any authority figure,
soon as they're past
they
the
are
door.
running. And then they
Okay.
hit another pocket of security, and they walk super fast, and then they're running, and it's just like this fervor.
Every morning we got to watch the race to
And there was
whatever
a,
exclusive.
There was a specific person who had a race, wasn't there?
So, this is one of my favorite stories from Comic-Con. On Wednesday, I was there by myself. Gregory was coming later in the day. My brother, who also helped out with the show, he was coming Thursday morning. So I got to do setup and the first couple hours of the show by myself. And Wednesday is preview night. It's not, a lot of people don't go to preview night. It's more of like a VIP or professional. Like it's from 5:30 to 9 o'clock. And
Like other
only
other shows do like 2-hour VIP entrance, right?
Yeah.
Comic-Con
San Diego
does
does a whole day
Okay.
of VIP.
Okay.
So only like the really hardcore attendees are there for Wednesday. And the only thing they're really interested in is the exclusives. They're not so much going for the they're not there for normal stuff. They're there for those, only 100 available of this and that and the other.
Right.
So I've been to Comic-Con before. I kind of know how it works. As soon as the floor opens, people are going to be sprinting to whatever place they've got circled on the map for that exclusive whatever it is.
Stakes are high.
The stakes are high. So I'm sitting at my booth, and I see the first couple athletic nerds run by.
Never have you seen nerds run so quickly.
And then shortly after, another wave comes. And then I hear around the corner, "Slow down, Daniel!" And this, I'm going to put this very politely, this husky man is pushing his elderly mother in a wheelchair. I don't think this guy runs too often, but he was all out sprinting as fast as he can while pushing his mother in a wheelchair to get to this exclusive. And the mom was so afraid of
It was
my
a
God.
mass
At the
times
speed.
acceleration moment in velocity here.
And as they left my view, once again, "Slow down, Daniel!"
Going,
And off into the sunset they went. I really hope Daniel got his
whatever it is.
exclusive.
So shout out to Daniel, who
Good job,
risked
Daniel.
his own safety
And his mother's
I
safety.
hope his mom's okay.
I just hope it wasn't for a Funko Pop.
That's. I was
hope
just
it
gonna
was
say
like-
it's got to be a Funko.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope it was for something else. But so then this "Slow Down, Daniel" became our clarion call for any
I don't
time
even know
we
if
were
his
rushing.
name was Daniel. That's what my memory is
Okay.
come up with now.
So that became our call throughout the show. When we were in a rush somewhere or like hurrying up, it was "Slow down, Daniel." So between the "Slow Down, Daniels" and the free lanyards, we had a whole vocabulary of weird things that happened at the show. But what was interesting about it for me, I'm used to working the show all day, and then I try to eat a whole big wave of healthy snacks the last couple of hours, and then have a coffee. So that the evening, which normally people go to rest, that's when you have to network. That's when you have to meet with publishers. That's when you have to, there's some friends you have. It's like weddings and funerals and Comic-Cons that you'll only see at those times.
Yeah.
And if you're going to spend time together, you got to suck it up, be tired, and go out late, right? I had no drive to do that at this show because we were doing all that network. As briefcase guy, I was able to meet all those people that I wanted to meet. I was able to hang out a little bit with all those people who are our friends who are at the shows. And when the show ended, different than others, we just walked around a little bit in the craziness and then Ubered home and had a giant meal. And it was a much more relaxed show. I was more rested at San Diego Comic-Con, it sounds weird, than I have been at a show in 5 years.
You guys didn't take in any of the evening festivities?
I went to the Poppy concert. Z2 brought in Poppy to promote her new book that they're doing with her.
Yeah.
And announce another project. And I think they also had, I forget who else they had there. But the point is, I went out one night to this concert, but not really to go to the concert, but just because everyone who was involved in the concert were people that I quite enjoy. So I hung out with them and watched this really cool sort of side event. Again, this was outside of the convention center. They organized it at a music venue outside, controlled it themselves, and got to benefit from that crowd.
I saw Sam, who was also there, went to the Adventure Zone.
Adventure Zone, yeah,
So
I was
she
a little
seemed-
jealous.
Yeah. I'm like, oh man, I totally would have gone to see that. That would have been awesome. And there are a number of different podcasts that record live episodes of San Diego. And again, I don't know if they're even involved in the actual con themselves. They just know there's going to be a ton of people
Well,
there.
for a while, I don't know if they did it this year. I didn't check because I knew I wouldn't have time to go. But there was this trickster story like Ben Templesmith and Scott Morris and a whole bunch of other guys who are have like a lot of indie cred, let's put it that way, or a
Yeah.
lot of indie gravity, made their own show in an art gallery just up the street from Comic-Con that they did for a couple of years. So that if you didn't want to go for giant movie video game properties, you could go for independent comics at this other spot.
I think we all remember what happened to that beast on Enoch 7, right?
The other thing San Diego's known for, and I guess you guys don't get to experience this, are the giant announcements from the various studios.
Oh, we experienced that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
You
I
did?
got to float around. I didn't do any Hall H stuff because you have to basically like chop
36
your way
hours.
through with a machete. to
Are
get
they
in there.
still like doing the lineup thing? Because I thought they got rid of that.
No, they did.
There's
They
still
do line
lineup,
up, yeah.
yeah. People
I
wait
think
there.
Celebration introduced kind of a wristband system.
They have a wristband system, but no. Okay, so what I noticed was that even though there was a wristband system, the crowd didn't trust
The wristband system.
that the powers that be would protect them from people who wanted to cut the line anyway.
Okay.
And so even though people had wristbands, these huge mobs of people with wristbands would just lurk around there. They'd be like, you can't line up here. And so everyone would just stand nearby the place you weren't supposed to line up.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So they haven't quite, I think
Couple
after
more
a few
years,
years of
yeah.
trusting it, just like, remember when movie theaters was rush seating, and many of them now,
They still
your
are.
ticket is assigned.
Yeah, most
Right?
most of the bigger ones, they're assigned seats. And I think that's
so
a better
you don't have to
system.
rush to
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Same kind of thing. Eventually people will trust it. But they announced 7 Marvel movies and 4 sequels.
And an animated series that
An
I'm very excited
animated
about.
series, yeah.
What if?
You predicted this.
I did
did,
predict
yeah.
it.
You
I just
did.
happened to mention it on the last podcast, and therefore,
Dear
became
listeners,
true.
Prophet Dan was saying like, oh, the movie series they should make, the thing they should do is the What If series.
and they're doing it.
And I was like, they could never. It would be cool, but they could never.
Well, they can never do it.
And
in,
then they announced
but
it.
it's an animated, and which makes sense, total
Yeah.
sense.
I
It's gotta
really
be
hope.
animated.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the same format as Love, Death, and Robots, like different animation studios and different styles,
That'd be
all short
so cool.
stories. I think that'll be amazing.
on the streaming service, of course, the Disney Plus streaming service,
Right.
which is where it's going to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it sounds good. And there's a ton of stuff. Actually, after we're done recording this podcast, I'm going to go record another podcast for Media Nerds where we're going to talk
All
about
of the
specifically
announcements.
all the trailers and everything that
Oh
were
my God,
dropped. So
so many good ones.
So go to MediaNerdsPodcast.com for that. if
I'm
you're interested.
actually okay. So originally, they announced the Jane Foster Thor, stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
which people who don't know the actual storyline that they're going to reference is potentially going to be the saddest moment in the Marvel.
I don't even know
universe.
the story. I just know that there was a female Thor.
So how Jane Foster ends up becoming Thor in the comics is that she has cancer,
Oh no.
and Thor gives her Mjolnir as a way of saving her life by taking on the power of the hammer. Right, it forestalls her inevitable.
Oh.
Right,
That is, if she ever gives it up.
that's right. She can't give it up then.
No.
Oh,
Right.
interesting. But now Thor has Stormbreaker.
Right,
Right,
so
in
who knows?
that
Yeah.
continuity.
Yeah.
So, but I found it interesting. It was because when that was announced, I was working at the newsroom, CGOB newsroom, would have been working a lot this summer. And my coworker Clay Young, who I think I mentioned before, who's a big fan, he loves. I got to get you guys in the same room because he's a big fan of a lot of the same things as you. He loves The Thing specifically. He talks about that a lot. And he's like looking at the feed, and we had a huge pack of like, all these stories come down from San Diego. And he goes, a female Thor, because he didn't know the comic book
Right,
did it.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's done in the comic book. It's gonna be awesome. He's like, oh, I don't know, but he's not. It's not like he's sexist or anything like that. He
Right.
just didn't like the idea of messing with the traditional Thor.
Right.
But they did it in the comic
But
book.
Thor
so
is, they need to make a new Thor movie because Thor is a Guardians of the Galaxy character now. We also experienced our first, what would you call it? Like sexual harassment? Well, I think
That's
it's like
strong.
authentic sexual harassment at the booth.
what?
Yeah, there was a woman who came to the booth and was like interested in purchasing things, and then kept making lewd remarks about Justin or myself, and ways in which that she could negotiate better prices and like all
Oh,
this kind of
boy.
stuff. And it was very like at first it was sort of funny because she's dressed as Harley Quinn, but then the like funny Harley Quinn voice disappeared, and she was just being creepy.
Okay.
So creepy Harley Quinn, no shout out to creepy Harley Quinn. But it was also that
So
thing.
at first you thought it was part of the character she was playing.
We were like excusing it because maybe,
Okay.
right? But then because she kept being more and more interested in like, well, maybe I'm interested in buying this. Maybe I'm interested in buying this. It became the wedge of, because I'm your customer, like the power imbalance of like, I'm the server and she's the customer. and I'm supposed to be polite to her no matter what she says, started to kick in.
Yeah.
Until I was just like, I am uncomfortable with the things you are saying. Right? And she was like, oh, I'm just joking or whatever. And then, like, every conversation I've ever had with a woman who is like, you don't know what it's like, suddenly, like, came to the forefront. And I was like, oh. Oh, I've been so wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah. San Diego and sexual harassment. Go hand in hand now.
That's tough. Well,
Cosplay does not mean consent the other way.
Yeah,
as
right.
well.
She must. I mean, the reason she does it, she must get something out of it at other booths. She must have tried that and had it work or
I
something.
guess, yeah, we repeat behavior that has effect. Yeah.
Like she's looking to get a discount on something,
Yeah, maybe,
and
yeah.
anyway, whatever.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We had also, Justin, was it on purpose or accidental, the booth design?
It was on purpose. I have been, so this was a different booth setup than I normally have. It was 3 tables in the shape of like a square. So I was against a wall, and so I had 2 side tables and 1 front table. And that's not how I normally set up. I normally have my stand behind me and I'm standing in front of it. Because I had this kind of cube, I built kind of this U shape with my banners, which created this blocked off back room kind of behind the tables that we could like
Love the back room.
go in and out of. My stands are big vertical banners, so we could kind of slide between the banners and go into this back room, which it cleaned up the booth quite a bit. Like all you could see was my artwork. You couldn't see anything past the tables. It was just my
detritus of living for 4 days in a tiny space was hidden, right?
Yeah.
Which is like every other booth fills up with.
Yeah, normally you can kind of see what's going on behind the booth, and it doesn't look as clean and cut as this. But the great benefit to this, which I think comes back to you being more rested at San Diego Comic-Con than normal,
definitely has to do with
is
this.
with 3 of us, we'd have 2 kind of working the tables and 1 person in the back room doing the inventory. So Gregory and I would be out front slinging prints, and we'd yell to the back, James, I need a this and a that and 2 of those.
And you'd pass it out through the slot.
Ding ding. Order
Yeah.
up.
Order up.
Order up. Well, and that was the joke. But okay, now before you think like, well, that doesn't sound like such a big deal. Every square inch of this enormous space and every square inch of 10 blocks of the city is competing for your visual attention. Everywhere. Just overwhelming. And the reverse side of the banners in Justin's booth are white. So you stepped into this white cube.
They block noise really
Yeah.
well, too.
Oh,
It
there we
cut
go.
the noise down. It took all the visual information out. And you couldn't see any people. You were just there. It was like alone time that you
The
so
sensory
desperately
deprivation
craved.
thing.
Yeah,
Because
it
normally
was-
when we take breaks, we just walk the floor, which is still like just visually overstimulating. But this was so much more relaxing, more so like to a degree that we're not used to getting in the middle of a show.
yeah,
Cool.
it was weirdly powering. So like,
Yeah.
pro tip for the dear listener: at a super busy show, figure out a way to have a
back room.
There's not too many shows where I can do the same setup, but New York Comic Con, which is coming up, and also an incredibly busy show, I'm going to build the same thing just for like the mental like release that you got out of it, and just
It's difficult to describe how freeing it seemed in that little space.
I must speak to you. It is a matter of supreme importance. We are Thermians from the Klaatu Nebula, and we need your help.
In terms of size of the floor, how big is this space? Like the main con floor? Like, can you compare it to another con you've been to, like something like Calgary or Vancouver or Toronto? Like, is it the similar size? Like, I've heard it's big. It's really big.
The entire main floor, like the entire footprint of the San Diego Comic, like all of the San Diego Comic or
Convention
San Diego
Center.
Convention Center, pardon me, and 2 hotels on each side, are completely absorbed by the show.
Okay.
The show floor is massive.
Is it possible to kind of walk and see all of it maybe over the course of the weekend, but certainly not in a day?
I would maintain that you could not ever see it all.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
One
Interesting.
human alive could
like
not.
yeah,
in one
speed
weekend do it.
walking you can kind of glance at it all, but to actually
Stop at each booth and
take
talk
it
to
in,
people, yeah.
which people try to do,
But there's an equal amount of show floor the next level up is all the halls with all the gaming and the private stuff and the workshops
and the panels. And if you're sitting,
panels.
so you almost have to make a choice between sitting in line for panels all day or going to the show floor.
Yeah,
People plan for months and weeks ahead of the show. They know like hour to hour what their plan is.
People would
because
pull
there's
up spreadsheets constantly.
Really?
People would unfold these like documents they had made of where they should go and why they should do it and how they're going to do it. And some people had their budgets written in there too, right?
That's a good idea.
Which made it so gratifying. The couple people who like had spreadsheets like that and came up to the booth and made comments like, I never buy artwork at San Diego Comic-Con, but I'm buying your stuff.
Yeah, it was really
That happened
cool.
a couple times, and it was pretty great.
There was it was interesting from my perspective because it wasn't my work that was on display. I mean, we had some of the books there or whatever.
We haven't worked together at a booth since like 2013, something like that.
So being his like
booth babe.
Yeah, his booth babe, but being his
the term is acceptable when you're talking about Gregory.
Yes, absolutely it is.
Not when you're talking about the Lanyards lady.
That Lanyards lady, that's different. But being like the hype man, right? Where I didn't actually have to do any hype at all. People came. There's a house style in comics. And San Diego Comic-Con is very concentrated in that the main comic companies are all present. And so that house style of that Jim Lee, Travis Charest, Todd McFarlane style of art is very prevalent. So the visual switch of the chasing artwork, shattered vector stuff, I saw people like have quasi-religious experiences. Like they're carrying all this house style art and they just stand and they're looking and they're just like, whoa. And then one guy just dropped everything, got his phone on, and he starts texting people. And then all these other friends of his start arriving and just looking up like, oh, at the booth. And it's not that, there isn't art around. It's literally that this is the only kind of art like this on the whole show floor.
Wow, okay.
Right? And there are other people who had very distinct styles who I'm sure were having a similar effect on other folks, right? Because people who are big into comics and came for comics and are used to the house style are suddenly like, wow, there's more to art in comics than this one style.
Exactly,
and it was really cool to watch that happen. We also did this great and powerful Oz trick a few times when Justin was in the chill out zone in the White Room.
Yeah.
That's a good name for it.
Right?
The
People
White
would be like, is the artist here? And we'd be like, he's in the back right now.
One moment.
One moment. Well, do you think you could sign this work? I'll check.
And they would just like shove the prints through the wall. I would sign them and shove them back.
So they don't know if it's you.
No.
It could be anybody.
Yeah, it could be anybody back there. And I was like, well, he's had a very trying show, and it's a lot for an artist to take this kind of, public appearance or whatever. Justin's trying not to laugh out loud as I'm making this joke, and I'm making it as a joke, assuming that the crowd knows I'm joking.
Right.
Instead, they started peeking and looking in with this reverence, like, oh my God, is the artist here? Is he in there? Will he sign my print? What's happening? And when we would push the flap, they would like try to catch it.
Sitting there with a handful of Life cereal and a banana, just hissing.
Oh, that's funny.
It was as someone who is into the study of psychology, it was really interesting to watch crowd dynamics at their most powerful.
Are proxies very common at San Diego?
Not like
I don't think so.
you proxy at shows that San Diego is probably the most important show.
Right.
You send your proxy to a
it'd be the
lesser
least,
show.
Yeah.
least likely to proxy.
So all the for anybody in Artist Alley, the artists were there.
Yeah.
Likely. So I'm just wondering why that was there. Why were they so surprised? Or
I guess because he had
the back room?
Yeah, he had a back room. And again, we've talked about this on the podcast. Comic-Con is the one place you can go and just meet the artists across the table. It's
Right.
not a big deal.
Brings us to the Magnolia note.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
But a lot of bigger artists are not at their table all the time. They'll have certain times.
schedules.
So they'll have a schedule up on their booth, and Ross Draws will be here for like these 3 hours to this day, those two.
Yeah.
I think Ross is there like pretty much the whole time. He was another really big deal that
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to meet, but I'm a huge fan of
that's
Ross
nice.
Draws.
I got to complete a perfect San Diego Comic-Con experience. 10 years ago, the same as the George R.R. Martin year, I took a different way into the convention center than I had been going. I just changed my path up. I went where the crowd wasn't. and went through the door, and there, setting up at the table, no line, nobody around, was Mike Mignola.
I told the story of the
right?
podcast before.
I've told the story on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm on a break. I'm leaving the booth. I'm going to go do my briefcase thing. But I'm like, you know what? Just for nostalgia's sake, I'm going to walk the path, because that just in my mind and in my artistic heart is such a special moment. I'm going to walk that same route and just feel that, because the convention center's not changed that much,
right?
Even in that time, the layout anyway. So that's what I do. I walk that same route. I go outside. I come in the same door, and I come in through the door, and there at the table with no lineup is Mike Mignola
What?
again.
How does he not have a lineup?
Right? And it was
Because he was there at a time that he wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah,
It wasn't
a
3
signing
o'clock
schedule,
yet.
and I guess it had either just ended or it was just whatever. He was getting ready to leave or whatever. So I'm like, oh well, this is cool because there he is, and I think he's so great, and his wife and his kids. I only saw one of his kids there. Are at the booth, and I'm just like, I stood for a moment. I was like, see, that's what I want. I want that experience where he's comic book famous, but not overly famous. He's there, and his kids and his wife seem to be having a good time with him at the show. And I was like, this is it. Yeah, they're making movies of your stuff, and yeah, they're making cartoons and lunchboxes.
But outside of Comic-Con, probably not getting recognized.
Yeah, and how wonderful that is to have found that space, right? Anyway, so I walk up to the booth, and I grab a sketchbook, and I figure all I'll be able to do is, he has these little con exclusive books. All I'll be able to do is pay for it. And I just mentioned, I was like, this is like a loop for me. I mentioned to his wife, who is taking the money and doing all that stuff. And she goes, oh, that's such a nice story. Mike, come and hear this. So I told him a little bit of that story, and he was like, oh. And so he takes the thing, which they were all pre-signed, so he didn't have to be there. Mm-hmm. And he writes in it, for Gregory, and he just makes it it just made this, it was like 10 minutes of my San Diego Comic-Con experience that just made this perfect loop. Because when I was there standing before, I had half of a black and white comic that I had drawn.
That's right? Yeah.
And I had nothing. And I was standing with a person that I admired and believed that the trajectory of their career was the kind of thing I wanted. Then I'm standing at the booth with, 16 graphic novels under my belt and, some film work and some TV work and some, and I'm still feeling that the move he's made, that the trajectory didn't change. It was like, my son Leaf, when I started telling stories, he says, is this one of those stories where you tell me you shouldn't meet your heroes?
Wow.
And I was
sometimes
like,
yes.
Yeah. And I said, no, this is one of those times where, you're glad to admire it the right way.
I understand completely that it's just a TV show.
It's all real.
Oh my God, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Our staying in San Diego is always like a bit of a challenge because the hotels get booked up so far in advance.
No kidding.
Unless you're Justin.
So, last year I found out I got in super last minute.
Right.
So, rather than, I didn't even try to find a hotel or B&B, I just asked friends, can I crash with you? Because it's, 2 weeks before the show.
Yeah.
And the one friend was like, sure? Question mark? And I'm like, okay. Can I also bring, 2 other people with me? Because I'm going to need help. And he was like, that's... okay, a little too cramped. I don't know if we'll be able to make this work. So a week and a half before San Diego Comic-Con, I had to find a place to stay.
Yes.
And luckily, our great new friend, Filbert, I won't say his last name, puts his...
Shout out to Filbert.
Shout out to Filbert. Puts his Airbnb on right before Comic-Con because he wasn't sure if he wanted to do it or not. So we didn't have it listed until right before the show, just as I was going to look for a place to stay. And so it was a 10-minute drive from Comic-Con, and it worked out wonderfully. He's an awesome man. He was so accommodating. And then we got along so well. This year, he's no longer an Airbnb. He was just a friend renting us out the space. And the great thing that happened this year is we had some leftover stock at the show, which is not quite enough to do another show with, but I would have had to ship it home. It was probably too much to carry. We could have carried it back, but
$200 to carry a heavy bag back.
Yeah. So he kept stock for us at San Diego.
You're probably going to book here next year, right? And we're like, we want to.
I've already confirmed. I've already given the dates, so we're staying with him again next year.
Might as well just leave your stuff here.
Look at that.
Yeah. So shout out to Filbert.
Sweet.
Yeah. And it was like 8 minutes away from the convention
We
center.
kept trying to give him a pass for the show, but he just wanted to walk around outside. He's one of those people who doesn't want to go in the show. He just wants to walk around
See the
the
madness.
outside madness.
What's the parking situation like in San Diego?
No parking. In fact, on the passes it says there's no parking.
So you just Uber everywhere.
Yeah, like they
Okay.
basically say we are encouraging people not to try to bring their cars into downtown. There's no
Yeah.
point.
They
Yeah.
closed down a good chunk of the streets downtown, and it's just a street fest.
There is
Yeah.
some parking, and people who go very early can park. But like the stories I heard was like, I drove here at 4 a.m. so I could park my car.
Exhibitors can park in the parkade.
parkade, yeah.
And I've been in that parkade once last year with friends getting out, and it was, God, I wanted to walk.
I bet. I bet.
Yeah.
It's just madness.
Oh, Jim Lee was there,
Of course he was.
right? And he was, as he often does, is he does these like Q&A panels where people can ask him questions, and then he draws.
While,
Right, and
while
he's drawing.
doing it.
He's doing like a sketch, like talking about his career and talking about how he draws, and he does like a big painted, like he was doing this, and we saw it at the booth. Someone brought the original art that Jim Lee made at this thing. Thousands of people are there, and this woman is holding it. Actually, no, the guy was holding it. There was two people, and he's like, "I will buy you anything you want." And I was like, "This is a guy to keep around." She's like, "Well, I got him that," and she points to the Jim Lee original art. Right, this amazing
It was
Batman
like
drawing.
a killer Batman.
Oh, it was
yeah.
so cool. And I was like, "Well, how did you get that?" And she's like, "I had a metal straw in my purse." I was like, "What?"
So the way Jim Lee gives away his artwork during these live drawings is he shouts out, "Who has X in their pocket or X in
Yeah,
their
like,
person?"
you
One
know.
was, "Who has a metal straw?" And whoever has a metal straw, the first one to get up there gets
That's
it.
a neat idea.
So
Yeah.
he just randomizes.
like
It's
randomized.
no, yeah.
So there's no
But,
ticket system. There's no. It's like one. They said that one of them was like, "Who has a receipt for whatever restaurant in their pocket?"
Oh, okay.
Right.
Who has a McDonald's receipt?
Yeah.
Who has a metal straw?
Yeah, and so people.
What happens if more than one person has one?
He's Jim Lee. He can just
Choose one?
Just choose. He chooses.
It's so weird because I still don't think of Jim Lee as a Batman artist. I still think of him as an X-Men artist.
Me, it's
like
Wildcats.
that's Wildcats as well, yes. But X-Men, I remember that series of X-Men that he kind of rebooted, and I collected that for a while. And yeah, Wildcats was very good as well when he went over to Image. But yeah, it's that'd be a very, very cool person to meet.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It was, but what was neat about that is that person, right, was a Jim Lee fan for the rest of their life. She didn't even know who he was. She was just there with her friend who was a big Jim Lee fan.
Yeah, but I like the idea that now people are going to show up at his panels with metal straws.
And that won't be the thing he asked.
But that's a good thing because metal straws are good because they're reusable straws, and
Yeah.
regular straws
The
are bad.
part
for
I
the-
liked about this
bad for the
story
environment.
was she was like, "You'll never make fun of me for my metal straw ever again." And he's like, "Yeah, it's true. I was making fun of her for that metal straw, but never again."
We had a meeting with Sideshow. That was an interesting thing. And
Some of it it was a two-tiered thing. The first tier was some artwork, and the second tier was possibly some toy figure things. So I'm very excited to follow up with them. We had a great meeting with them. It
yeah,
was-
she was great. What was her
yeah.
first name?
Amy.
Amy.
Amy is
Whoever
Man.
hired Amy Sideshow, you should give her a raise. She was if she's the face of your company interacting, you
Yeah.
couldn't have a better face.
I don't think I'll probably be dealing with her for the project, but I kind of wish I were.
Yeah.
She's great.
And what I mean by that, for the dear listeners, like, how do I have an Amy, or what does he mean? What's that quality? She was super excited to represent Sideshow Collectibles. She was super knowledgeable about every question we asked, and not just in a like rote learning, but in a have you seen this? Have you heard of this? Check this out. Here's an artist we think we might work with. She showed us some rival. She's pulled up some rival stuff. She's like, I know this isn't our stuff, but look at this guy's. We want to do stuff like that. Like it was.
Yeah.
It was so. She was so supercharged. As a person who was having just meetings all day, every day for 5 days, I don't know how she sustained that.
And she knew about me and my stuff as
Yeah.
well, which was nice. It wasn't just a generic meeting that she was having one after the other. She knew specifics about me.
Yeah,
She
they
did
had,
some research into you. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
good, good.
yeah, she said that she had asked. They know they were going to do some headhunting at the show, so she had asked her assistants to go through the list of everyone who was at the show, and they picked, what'd she say? They picked 50, and then she picked the 5 she most wanted to talk to give personal attention to. So that was an interesting, and that's one of those things, it sounds like a humble brag, but it's actually because you're at the shows, right?
Right.
That's when people are like, well, I don't know about the expense related to this. Should I risk this? Should I do this? This long tail of the comment that we're talking about, is this. It's that if you're there in the arena, people can see what you're doing and then take notice of it. There was a guy, I would like to wholesale some of your art, Justin.
Man.
I have 3 stores. I have huge locations, and I would really, really like to buy your art in bulk. Justin looked him in the eye and just tore his feelings in half. He just said,
I didn't.
he just said, not at this time. And the guy was just stunned. He wouldn't leave the booth. And he
looks like I just kicked his puppy or something. I think it's a reasonable.
You don't want to have your art sold in Walmart? What's wrong with you?
Well, he was just. It felt like he was so used to people being so desperate for some recognition that when Justin was like, "No, I'm fine. I've got my own things going on."
Yeah.
He was aghast. His mouth was hanging open, and he had no follow-up line. He was so used to, "Oh, please. Oh, here's my card," or whatever. And Justin was like, "Not at this time, thank you," and then handed his thumbnail out to a different customer.
Yeah.
Right, beyond the guy.
Thumbnail is the catalog. It's a double-sided sheet that we put in a plastic case that has everything available at the booth, so we can hand those to people as other people are looking at the portfolios. But I've had a couple of people, businesses, come up and request to buy in bulk, and they're just they're looking for discounted inventory that they can resell at a profit at their stores, which that's how business works. But I'm not interested in diluting my artwork by doing mass production, mass sign things to sell it in comic book stores.
I can imagine that what that guy is doing mostly is finding people who are like, oh my God, we overprinted so much stock for this show. If you'll take this from us, that's great, right? That's not really, Justin's got his inventory down to a pretty great science, so.
But I can
really
see that
proud of my inventory.
That kind of practice would hurt you going forward, because next time you go back there, whatever city he's in, especially if he's in multiple cities, then that takes away the demand for your art, because your art is only available in one spot at the time that time of year, unless they of course order it online. But at the same time, not everything is available online, right? Not,
it's true.
You have certain stuff that you only bring to cons.
And actually, I do have an online store. It's Chasing Artwork Society 6, and quite a few people who can't see me at shows can get artwork there. Something that I had happen a lot at this show that hasn't happened at other shows is people had bought my work on Society 6, which is a third party, and then brought it to the show for me to sign, because I can't sign it when it's purchased through that third party.
And that's it's been an interesting thing to watch over the course of a few years, this idea of people at shows saying, do you have an online store? And Justin replies, yes, I do. It costs a little bit more, and there's no signature, though. Yeah. So you can pay less and have me sign it right here in front of you, or you can pay more.
So
right,
the reason,
and have no signature.
Mostly the reason for that is those people are at San Diego, but they're originally from somewhere far away, and they don't want to travel home with artwork. Or
right? No, I get that.
Yeah, we understand the needs.
Yeah,
but yeah.
You will go out there. I won't. Nothing you say will make me.
The show must go on.
Damn you.
What are you going to do differently next year?
Bring me.
Well, we're going to bring Dan.
Bring Dan. I was.
We would have been able to collect so many great sound bites for the show.
Oh yeah,
right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So my first year in San Diego, like I said, was fairly rushed, and I felt very unprepared, and I didn't feel quite ready for the show. And this year, I felt so much more like I did 10 times better at everything, because I was mentally and just everything was prepped and ready to go. So it was such an improvement over the first year. For third year, there's not too many things I would fine tune. I was so happy with how everything went.
Yeah, you were pretty chill when I arrived. I was expecting to find some fires that needed, or like, can you do this, or like I have a last minute thing to do, and I arrived and he's like, no, everything's done.
All the fires happened the first year. The second year was smooth sailing.
Nice.
Yeah. What I would do differently is, when I went, I had business cards and I had stuff for our Super Pulp Science that we were handing out. Side note, there was a small publisher there who publishes role-playing games. The name has slipped my sieve of a memory right now. But when I mentioned Super Pulp Science, she hits her editor, and they're both like, we listened to this show. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you guys are doing what we hope to be doing. And this would have been a great time for a shout-out. I'll have to find the card. But what was amazing was just this moment of like, I'm inspired by the stuff on your table. We'd like to tell our listeners about it. And then they were, we listen to the show. Right, you never know who's listening, and thank you for listening.
There you go.
Sorry, I've forgotten your name. What was I getting at? What I would do differently is I would have some set times where I could tell other people to meet me at the booth. There was like some stuff where there was back and forth, and it's like, I only have 10 minutes. When do you have a schedule at your table where you'll be there for sure? And I didn't have that down or figured out. So like, a thing I wasn't expecting in the networking on the show floor was somebody willing to come back and talk at a certain time if I could give them a certain time that I'd be there. But I was just going with the ebb and flow of things. So I would be a little more structured, like have like a certain time every day where I'm for sure at the booth helping or working, so that I can say to people, well, from 2 to 4, I'll be there for sure. Stop by and I'll show you some stuff. That's the thing I would improve.
More bags. We ran out of bags on the Sunday, and people were buying some pretty expensive prints. I did foil prints this year, and I really didn't want those to be rolled or damaged. So I ended up, we had sold out of so many things that I started cutting out pages of my portfolio, like the pages of my portfolio. I would like X-Acto them out and then tape that back up so they could have bagged prints.
It seemed pretty hardcore, or at least as hardcore as Justin gets at a show. He would say, do you have a bag that I can put this in, or like a hard case? And they'd say no. He's like, no problem. And he'd take out his knife and he'd click it open, and then he'd slice the page out of the portfolio and put the print in. And he's like, here you go. It'll keep it safe. And people would just be like, whoa. This guy's really serious about keeping his art safe.
We came very close to having enough bags, but
close. Close, but no cigar. It was the 40th anniversary of Gundam.
Yes, it was.
So there was Gundam stuff everywhere. And
a couple Gundam people came by.
Came by. One of the animators he didn't speak English, but he spoke enough English to assert to us that he works on the Gundams that Justin had some prints of, and he was really interested in getting some. So we helped him figure that out. And then we were so like caught up in the idea that he was an animator of it. We got a picture with him, and he's not used to that, I think. Like, as an animator, we're like, well, you work on this? You help make this? We love you. Come here, man. So that was an interesting twist. It's just being close to the media source. Very different feel than New York Comic Con. So different. People are in meeting mode at San Diego Comic Con so much more. Like, they have that LA vibe of like, let's take a meeting, let's do a lunch.
Yeah, that's right? You get all those big studios and all those big media properties in one space, and that's what's going to happen for sure, right? Yeah. Cool. Whereas it is almost like a conference as well as a convention.
That's right. Yeah. Whereas New York is, the publishers are like, show me your work right now. Do you have something?
Yeah.
Right? So there's a little bit of a different vibe. I made work to show people that I put on my Dropbox. So what I did to show portfolios, rather than carry stuff around, I know better than to leave stuff there. They have so much to carry. When I was having conversations with editors or publishers or whatever, I would say I have a portfolio in my Dropbox. They would give me their email, and I would just share it with them right there. Yep. Nothing to carry, nothing to look at right now. They can either ignore it if they want. It can be destination oblivion for them. Yep. See our previous podcast. Or they can look at it. But now I have not imposed, please carry this heavy stuff away because I'm so important.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that was really good. And I put a whole bunch of stuff on the free table. Again, this was a circle. 10 years ago, I went and took a whole bunch of my friends' work and put it on the free table at San Diego.
the floor up from the main floor, I didn't see it, but apparently there's just a massive table with giveaways and free stuff that people can just hordes can come and rip apart.
Like, no, not like lanyards. So this is something you have to check with. You submit it ahead of time to San Diego Comic-Con because they check to make sure it's not like religious propaganda is on the links or like whatever it is of all the free stuff. So posters and postcards and books and things like that. So the first year that I went to San Diego, I had arranged to put some of that stuff on that table the approved way. This year, I had a bunch of my own books that I went up to the table and I just like totally guerrilla style added my stuff to the pile just because I wanted, again, that like circle. Like last time I was here, I had nothing. This time I was here, I have something, and I just wanted to leave it. And so it was interesting because when you put real books on the table next to a free QR code or something, right? It just vanishes. So
yeah.
But I definitely broke the rules. I apologize.
Hope it doesn't jeopize your chances of coming back next year.
Yeah, if you don't get in next year, then...
well, they can check my name. My name is... All right. This has been Super Pulp Science. If you saw us at San Diego Comic-Con and that's why you're listening to this because we handed you the card, thank you so much for listening. And thank you for an excellent show. We look forward to being back next year. Please join the fight and make comics.